or anything, I gotta show you guys this monstronic motor right here, man. Excuse my voice. Both of my kids are sick. Everyone in the house is sick right now, so if my voice starts going, deal with it. I'll give you guys a walk around real quick. See the miles from there. 74. It's just a little dusty. I like the headlights up. I don't know about you guys, but I like the headlights up. I think it looks way better. Ooh, let me try to focus this. There we go. Headlights up look way better in my opinion. Yeah, lights flipped up, looks better. And the guy that was selling it on eBay ended up being not local to us, but in California. He was in Southern California. And he messaged him, they ended up talking, whatever, and then they met up. My dad either flew or drove out there, whatever. And I was what, like 13, 14, 15 years old, probably like 14 years old at the time. And my dad contemplated it for a while, like, man, should I get the car? It's a, you know, 20,000, it's a lot of money. Even, you know, back then it was a lot of money. By no means is my dad rich. Is he wealthy? Does he have wealthy parents? My dad came from first generation. I'm first generation born out here, but my parents came here from Mexico, got their, you know, they got their residency. He was able to gain citizenship. He's worked his whole life. And then he came here, they lived in LA and whatnot. So he had my two older brothers. And at the, excuse me, at the time, yeah, he was contemplating getting the car, and he was kind of like, man, I don't know if I should get it. You know, he didn't tell me this. I guess he was telling me the other day. I just found this out, that he was talking to my older brother about it. And my older brother was like, you know what, you should get it. You never really do nothing for yourself. You never really buy anything for yourself. He tried to give the guy cash, and the guy was like, nope, I'm not gonna take cash. They met up at a bank. He still didn't want cash. You know, they were talking to the bank teller, and he was like, oh, you know, can he give me a cashier's check? My dad was like, yeah, I'll give you a check. They can sell you a cashier's check at the bank, even if you don't bank there. I did the same thing with my car. Obviously for way less money. That was like $3,500. And the guy, I guess, was like real cautious. It was the early days of eBay, I guess. It was like 04, 05, something like that. Maybe not the early days, but, you know, people were still real cautious, and you should still be. So the guy asked the teller, hey, is there a way that he could cancel the check if, you know, once we leave from here, I give him the car, give him registration and whatnot, is there any way he could cancel the check? And the lady was like, well, you know, it'd be difficult, but ultimately, yeah, he could cancel the check and you'd be out of the funds. So the guy's like, okay, no, I'm not gonna do that. And my dad's like, well, come on, dude, I got cash. They could check it here. The lady was like, yeah, that's fine. If the guy that was selling the car was like, yeah, you know, if you bank here, then he's like, no, I don't want cash. So what ended up happening was my dad ended up giving him, my dad had to open an account with that bank. And then, you know, he opened an account on the spot, put the money in the bank, and then transferred it to dude. And once the dude had the money in the bank and then received bills or a check or whatever from the bank, then he was like, okay, let's do that. They did all the paperwork. Now, the story about the car itself is that it was a prize or like a jackpot or like some type of prize, a giveaway at a casino. And the person who won, they had it like on a little stand spinning at the casino in the lobby or whatever, or, you know, you probably see it in older movies like from the 90s or whatever. I don't even know if they still do. I haven't seen one, but they would put the car on like a little rotating platform and it's spinning and it'll say like you could win this car or whatever. They were giving this car away. The guy who ended up winning the car sold it to the guy that my dad bought it from. Parked it, held onto it for a while, and then eventually he decided to sell it. Why he sold it at that price, I don't know. But that's the story behind it. It was given away at a casino, guy ended up with it, sold it to the other dude, and then that guy sold it to my dad. Apparently my older brother was the one that kind of convinced and was like, hey, no, you should get it for yourself. That was, I think it is 04, because my same brother, he passed away in 05. Shortly after my dad bought the car, he had passed away, and then yeah, that's how I remember, because I remember he got to driving it. My dad drove him around it and whatnot, and yeah, so he's had it since then. It's literally sat in the garage for a long, long time. At our old house, it literally sat there for like, we lived there like 10 years, and it sat there the whole time, and I drove it maybe 5 times in those 10 years. So doesn't get driven much. I still do the oil changes on it and whatnot. I'll drive it around every now and then. And smog, that's why it's out right now, is because of the smog. So I took it to get a smog check and whatnot. California, got to do it every 2 years. So at least every 2 years it gets driven, at the very least. But even then, you know, hopefully my dad, now that he's retired, he'll start driving it a lot more. Or, you know, I can start driving it. I don't know. But it definitely needs to be lowered. It needs some good wheels. And yeah, I think that's it. I wouldn't do anything else to this car. Lower it and some wheels, that's it. So that's pretty much it. Back in the day when I had a bunch of Asian homies in high school, they'd be like, oh man, you could hear the VTEC crack. I didn't know what the hell that meant at first until somebody told me like, oh, that means that when the VTEC kicks on, like when you can actually, you know, when the VTEC is, when you reach that RPM where the VTEC kicks in, this car right here, it actually does. When the VTEC cracks on this car, you can actually hear it. Camera's hitting up there. But one thing about this car is it really doesn't break loose. Even with traction control off, it really doesn't break loose at all. That's one thing about it. So hopefully my camera's good, because it's terrible in here. It's really small in here, so we'll see. I'm not gonna launch it or nothing. I'm just gonna, we'll start him first. See if we can hear the VTEC. This car feels like the faster you go, the lower it, like, I don't know, the more grounded it gets, it feels like. Before you go talking smack, man, I'm not trying to bang gears and stuff. This one thing I noticed about this car is it's really not meant for, it's definitely not meant for straight line driving, that's for sure. It doesn't really you know, I don't know, maybe I just don't know how to drive it, but it's not really a car that you bang gears in and stuff. It just doesn't feel, I'm used to a Mustang, it just doesn't feel the same. There. You can definitely hear the VTEC, that's for sure. I see what they mean. With this car, this was the first car when I was like, okay, I can actually hear the VTEC crack. It does it like around 6,000, 6,500 or so is where I can hear like an increase of, and then it comes on. Again, I'm not too experienced in this car, I'll be honest. Watch, you'll hear the VTEC here, let's see. Probably don't got enough space. But here, you'll hear the VTEC, listen. There. I haven't even got it up to 5th gear. Like, this thing's got gear for days. Anyways, I'll give you guys a walk around on the outside of the car too.